today we're doing a special session for the higher income people about Medicare planning and all the Medicare decisions you need to make. So we're not going to focus in on the small decisions and the larger things like buying a supplement or an Advantage plan or which one to buy or what the deductibles are, or the drug plan, all that kind of stuff. Watch all my other videos. We got a bunch of stuff on that. This one is for people that have a significant income in retirement. And we're going to really talk about not just IRMAA or the Medicare tax or the penalty that you pay. We're going to talk about all the issues as we see them with higher income people. But we're going to start on IRMAA. So what in the world is IRMAA? IRMAA is income related monthly adjustment amount. Isn't that wonderful? IRMAA, income related monthly adjustment amount. And it's really the Medicare tax for people that make significant money in Medicare, that are on Medicare as well. So you pay a whole lot extra for Medicare. And unfortunately, I want to bring Tom on to talk about this. It comes as a surprise to a lot of people, and they're angry.
Oh, yeah. And so one of the things that is really kind of a little quirk with the IRMAA is they look at your income from 2 years ago. So people right now, this is kind of in December of 2022 when we shot this video, they're starting to get the letters for 2023 IRMAA. And it's based off the income they made in 2021. It's always 2 years later that you get the IRMAA. And so we have a lot of people who call us that didn't know about this. They just signed up for Medicare for whatever reason. And they all of a sudden get this letter of something they did 2 years ago. And they are pissed off. I mean, they come in hot. I mean, some of these people have millions of dollars. And this, in the big scheme of things, is just, I don't want to call it meaningless, but does not make a difference for them in retirement. But they are very pissed off about it. And so, it's one of these things that the video is not all about just trying to avoid it. We'll talk about that in a second. It's really letting you know what it is, why it's there, what causes it, and then, just put some context around it. But yeah, people come in really upset about this.
And then once you're in this group of people, then we want to just talk about all your Medicare decisions, because we talk to a lot of you. I mean, we're just very grateful for YouTube. It's just changed our whole business. We don't have to call people anymore. I mean, we've just got a steady flow of people calling us. And a lot of the people are affected by this. And this isn't maybe what they start with, but we're going over this. So we have a lot of experience with it. And so we want to explain it to you, but we also just want to talk about where we want to get you, where you're going to be the most satisfied and the most happy with your Medicare coverage. So let's talk about this IRMAA business. We already told you a few things about it, that it's going to use the 2-year-old tax return. So 2021 tax return is driving the 2023 IRMAA. And, it also has, some people say, well, what does it use? AGI? And I say, well, kind of, but it's modified. So they're going to not only use your AGI in 2021, adjusted gross income, they're going to add on a little something, is modified adjusted gross income, or MAGI, M-A-G-I. And what's the modified part? Well, they're going to add in tax-free bonds, because when they first came out with IRMAA and taxes on Social Security based upon your other income, a lot of people shifted their money into tax-free bonds thinking that doesn't show up as income, and they're going to avoid this IRMAA and avoid taxes on Social Security. That doesn't work, because they get you with the modified word. So it's essentially AGI with some modifiers. And if you want to simplify this thing, if you're a married couple and in 2021, your MAGI or your AGI was more than 194,000, or if you're a single person and it was more than 97,000, you're going to be affected by IRMAA. You're going to get an IRMAA letter, and you're going to pay more for your Part B and your Part D, like dog. Okay, and that's the drug plan. So Now, how much more is going to depend on how much more income you make over 194 or you made in 2023, 2021. And then if you're single, how much more than 97,000? And you can see if you get up here, if you're a married couple and you got more than 750 grand, then you're going to pay an extra 472 bucks a month. Now, so you're going to pay 560 bucks a month for your Part B, and you're going to pay an extra 76.40 for your Part D above your normal premium with your plan. But the extra piece of IRMAA is 472.10 a month. If you're a married couple, that's two of you. If you're both on Medicare, so that's a lot of money, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, I've got up here. Once people get really angry about this, and they, then they get on a mission. We're tax planners, tax advisors, retirement planners. They want us to do everything they can to make this go away or lessen it. And then we kind of get the IRMAA tail wagging the tax planning dog, as I'm saying. We don't want to get in any situation where the tail's wagging the dog, where all of a sudden you have somebody that has a lot of income, a lot of assets, they got a lot of IRA, maybe they're doing Roth conversions, and they're doing all that stuff for a positive effect on their retirement. And then they find out about IRMAA and the things they're doing in their planning, the other things they're doing cause IRMAA to go up. And now all of a sudden, the tail's wagging the dog. The IRMAA tail is wagging the tax dog. Let's not do that. So let's learn about it. Let's do what we can to manage it. When we're done, let's just pay it and move on. And let's use the fact that we're paying more for it to make all our decisions of Medicare. You're a well-to-do person that's on Medicare. Let's go ahead and make Medicare the best it can be for you. Now, what I'm looking at here is this is a cliff kind of a deal. So that if you make 192,000, if you're a married couple, or you make 95,000 as a single, you're going to pay no IRMAA. But if you make $1, or let's just say 1,000 more, if you make 195,000, or you make 98,000, you're going to pay the whole IRMAA amount. So it's a cliff thing. It's different than normal brackets. If you just get into the thing, you pay the amount. So, and as you can see over here, I mean, we have a lot of people that fit in this category as a couple and in this category as a single, and they're paying an extra $314.40 a piece or an extra $196.30. I mean, people know they got to pay the $164.90 for Part B, and they know they got to pay some premium for Part D, like dog. I mean, and it's usually 10, 20 bucks a month. They didn't know this was coming, and this is enough money to get them excited, and it should. And so we have ways to help you with this, possibly make it go away, reduce it. There's a number of things we can do. And then you got to remember that there's a 2-year lag here. We can't do anything about your 2021 return. And pretty quick here, we're not going to be able to do anything about your 2022 return. But we can have some effect on 2023 and future things. And we can do your long-term planning in such a way that this is a factor, but it isn't the whole deal. So I want to bring Tom on to talk a little bit about management of IRMAA.
Yeah. And so one of the things, and we have the show notes in the link below the video. They're also on our website. We'll get into those here in a second. But some of the things we just want to point out, and we've been talking about it. They used 2 years ago tax return. So you need to be looking forward to 2 years from now. So if you're making decisions in 2022, how is that going to impact your Medicare premium in 2024? And so things that I've seen people do normally before they've met us that can cause problems here is I've seen people take, large distributions out of their IRA. I've seen several times to buy like a house or a vacation home or something like that. And they do this, they're all excited, they go into retirement, and all of a sudden 2 years later they get this huge bill for Medicare that they weren't expecting. So, not saying you shouldn't do that, but you need to at least factor in what this will do to your Medicare price if you're going to make a decision like that. Some of the ways to potentially help minimize the IRMAA issue is if you're still working and you have group insurance, you can delay Medicare Part B and not be penalized. That is a great way to avoid the IRMAA, or at least delay the IRMAA until you do retire. And so if you're still working, the group insurance is sufficient. You'd probably want to delay Medicare if you're a high earner, delay Medicare and just address that problem in the future. One of the other things that we do a lot with clients, and these are in the show notes, the form is we can appeal the IRMAA. Is if you had a life changing event, and we'll pull up the show notes here and we'll show you, but there are certain events that they consider life changing, and it's right on the form. If one of these things happen, you are able to appeal this IRMAA. So, again, the show notes, we have a picture of the board, and then we actually have added a cartoon that's is pretty funny. So if you're in there, look at that. It's something we drew up. I did not draw it, but we had someone else draw it. But the meat of the show notes is this. It's a SSA-44. This is the form you use to appeal the IRMAA. Again, these numbers, they haven't released the updated numbers for 2023, so the numbers are a little bit off here, but the form is still going to be the same. And so on the second page of the form, right up at the top, you can see the type of life-changing event. And so the one we most often use is going to be work stoppage or work reduction. So if you're working, you're making a high income, and then you retire, your income goes down, you're not going to be making as much. That opens up a window to appeal this IRMAA charge, where they can actually look at your expected income for that year as opposed to looking from 2 years ago. So if we run through an example, someone's making $400,000 a year while they work. They've been saving. Maybe they have a lot of Roth money. They're not going to have very much income or reportable income on their tax return this year once they retire in 2023. We can use this form. We can estimate what their income will be this year. You have to, send in some supporting documents, but we can reduce that IRMAA down. And so, especially if you're still working, delaying Medicare and then appealing it when you retire is a great way to minimize the IRMAA issue.
Well, and if you need to do one of these appeals, you might want to get in touch with us. I mean, the form is pretty standard and you fill it out, but when people come to us after they've done the appeal, a lot of times they've been turned down, or we have people that have come to us for the Medicare planning and then they do this on their own because it looks pretty simple, and then they get turned down.
Yeah, we've seen lots of mistakes that people make, whether they're, they don't even select a life-changing event, or they write, a dissertation on what happened to them and it doesn't really fit neatly into one of these categories. Or, I mean, it's just, a lot of times writing less is better, and you want to kind of stick within the form, because the people processing the form generally, they're not wanting the whole backstory. They just want to know, do you meet these qualifications? If yes, they check mark okay and reduce it. If no, they turn you down. So definitely, come to us and we'll help you, one, see if we think your case warrants an appeal, and if so, we can help you sort of fill out the form. And we have a pretty high success rate when we help clients fill this out.
We absolutely do. And I want to point something out. Tons of people come to us because they've watched the videos. They know we know a lot about this. And then they're coming to us for Medicare, which is just fine. And then all of a sudden they're at Medicare and we're asking them about their tax returns for 2 or 3 years ago, what their investment plan is, what their sources of income are. And wait a minute, I already got a financial advisor. I don't want to do all that stuff with you. And I just have a couple of questions that I don't always ask. What does your financial advisor have to say about IRMAA? And did your financial advisor tell you about IRMAA? Or does he or she even know anything about IRMAA? I don't want to be a cynic, but we dig in. This is a factor. Again, it's not the whole thing, but taxes change in retirement, and this is one of the ways they change. And we're going to go full-scale financial planning with people when we start filing appeals and we start looking to the future. We're going to manage this IRMAA business over a bunch of years because it ain't going away.
And I do think it's a good point to make that, once you know about it, some people will come in and now they're solely focused on this. I want to avoid IRMAA at all cost. And that oftentimes is a mistake is you end up making poor decisions with the rest of the plan trying to avoid the IRMAA. I had someone I was talking with that had, I don't know, $4 or $5 million in their IRA, and they didn't want to do any Roth conversion because that was going to put them into the IRMAA bracket. And I just want to take the minimum out. The problem with that scenario is you fast forward to their RMDs, it's going to cause a IRMAA issue, and now they have no control over it. It's just going to be what it is, and they can't change it because you have to take that amount out. And so, sometimes if you're looking, in short term, you can make bad long term decisions trying to avoid the short term cost. And so, our point with this IRMAA video is not necessarily to say, here's how you avoid it at all costs. It's to bring it to your attention. We need to factor it in as part of the decision making, but oftentimes the end result is still accepting some IRMAA cost and just know what we're doing going into it so you're not surprised with it 2 years later. And that's really the difference between the people who are really upset and the people who are, it's okay to be frustrated with it, but it is what it is. It's the law. We can't change that. So let's try to make the best of it. And that's what we can really help with.
And we have learned, I'm not going to try to make you like this. Okay. We take an angry person or just a person that's, a little upset about this stuff. And we say, oh no. But one point going down that road that I will do on the video is you're over here, you're paying this extra, maybe you're paying it double. And I just want to remind everybody that I pay, like, I'm 64 and a half years old. I pay $1,400 a month just for me on my pre-65 insurance that I have right here through the business. And my wife pays the same. I mean, we're paying $2,800 a month for insurance that is not as good as Medicare and a supplement. So, I'm not trying to make you like this, but even with the IRMAA and then the cost of a supplement and the cost of dental insurance and the cost of prescription drug insurance, if you go with all of that and the independent route, you're still paying a lot less than you were if you were paying full boat on people before 65. So now, what I had in mind when I made this whole video is we're financial planners. Both Tom and I are CFPs. We have a whole staff of people doing Medicare stuff. We're here to help you. And I really wanted on this video to talk to the people that are in the higher income and have to deal with this stuff. And I'm saying, okay, so now once we're here, we'll try to make it the best it can be. Let's give you the advice that's going to last through your retirement so we can make Medicare the best it can be. And I can give you a little insight of what I'm doing. I've been doing this stuff, Medicare consulting, for 45 years. I started in 1976. The people turning 65 my first year were born in 1911 that we were calling on. So I've watched people, and I've watched the higher income people. And I'm just telling you, this original Medicare is a sweet deal. I mean, you can go to any doctor in the United States that takes Medicare, and it's a lot of them, because you don't want to be a doctor and not take Medicare. So you don't have managed care. That's the thing about Medicare Advantage. It doesn't make it awful. It's managed care. And you're going to have to go to the doctors that are on your network. And if you want to go, you've got the money to do it. If you want to fly to the Mayo Clinic, or you want to fly to MD Anderson, or you want to come here to Duke, which is local for us, and see some specialist about some serious disease that you have, you don't have to be messing around with managed care. You're on original Medicare, and then you buy a supplement. And a supplement is just not that expensive unless you live in New York. It's expensive there. Maybe Southeast Florida, it's expensive. But even at that, it's not expensive relative to going over on the no premium Medicare Advantage plan. So I'm just, generally speaking, buy your own insurance to supplement Medicare. Stay on original Medicare. You can buy a private dental insurance plan, so you can go to the best dentists and have high maximums for implants. Get a Part D plan, and then you're going to save some money, because if you get on some expensive drugs, they may not be covered as well as you're used to under Part D. If there's a trouble spot with Medicare, it's that. But if we prepare you for that, you want to make your Medicare as the best it can be. And then, this business of the high deductible plan G, we sell a lot of those to these high income people, where, the high deductible plan G at 65 years old is like $40 a month in most parts of the country. Maybe in New York, it's $90 a month. In Southeast Florida, it's even 50, 55 a month each if you're a couple. Pretty reasonable. And you've got a $2,700 annual deductible to go along with Medicare. And then you got full Plan G Medicare supplement coverage after that. Now, personally, I'm not doing that. And I could afford to pay a deductible, but I'm buying the regular G. And the reason I'm doing that come this summer is that I've just watched all of us people for all these years. And I just, when people get on Medicare, they're older, going to the doctor is not a very pleasant experience. And it's just nice to have Medicare and a supplement and just have most of it paid for. And people just come out of that and they say, man, I haven't gotten a bill. I'm waiting for the bills. And I was just saying, man, they ain't coming. Other than that Part B deductible of $226, which I paid early, there's no more bills coming because you got Medicare and you got the largest supplements you can get. You're good to go. And the satisfaction that people get, I just want some of that stuff when I'm over 65. So it gets a little bit beyond the money, but I don't force that on people. Is if you want to really shop these high deductible G's and kind of manage that premium over a number of years, we're all with you. We sell tons of these. Okay. So I'm Hans Scheil, and I really wanted to go over, as I do on all of these, the 7, and we want to address each one. We haven't really talked about Social Security, other than that's where you go to get Medicare. Um, we've talked a lot about Medicare today, and Medicare for the affluent. Now, what we haven't talked much about long-term care, and I think if you're affluent and you're a high-income person and you're spending too much energy on this, which is normal to do, but you're spending too much energy. You're putting way too much into it when really what you ought to be looking at is long-term care. That is more of a problem for you than Medicare, especially if you call us and you follow what we tell you to do. That is more of a problem because Medicare just doesn't cover the kind of long-term care that I'm talking about. So I just want to finish on that. IRA 401k, we haven't really talked much about that other than the Roth conversions for a lot of people in their 60s and 70s drive up income for the IRMAA. We have talked about income, and we've talked a lot about taxes. So with that, I'm Hans Scheil.
And I'm Tom Griffith.
And we thank you for listening.
Thank you.